been a change in attitude in Seattle's halls of justice. The massive protests, full of people rallying for reform, appear to have inspired the city's prosecutor to reconsider what justice looks like.
In a shift, Seattle City Attorney Pete Holmes says he will toss out cases against peaceful protesters if they agree to a diversion program that has been successful elsewhere. But is this the systemic change that demonstrators are seeking? Q13's Steve Kiggins is here with more. Steve?
Yeah, Jamie, ever since these protests erupted at the end of May, dozens of cases have been submitted to the Seattle City Attorney's Office, but only for crimes that don't quite reach the level of a felony. But many of those cases could end up being tossed out.
This is an opportunity. We can't waste it.
Seattle City Attorney Pete Holmes says he believes he has the unique ability to help bring about the change being demanded on the streets.
Are there people who are second guessing me, Steve? Sure. But I think for the most part, it is recognized that this is simply the right thing to do.
Holmes's office only prosecutes misdemeanor crimes. They're considered less serious than a felony, but still serious enough where suspects are likely arrested. Since protests began, his office has filed charges in 6, ranging from lower-level assaults on police, property damage, obstruction, and theft. But in one case, where a protester stood his ground while police marched toward a crowd trying to break it up, that crowd ended up taking off, but the protester remained, and he was arrested. Holmes thinks his case should be dropped. Do you think this might give protesters the sense that they could get a free pass no matter what they do?
Well, I hope that that's exactly the opposite message that is taken here, that instead of just announcing a broad rule, everyone walks. That's not what the statement says.
And while 30 more await review by his office, he says the decision to charge is his discretion. And if the accused agree to diversion, Holmes promises to wipe their slate clean. The Seattle Police Department tells us during the last 3 weeks, we saw peaceful demonstrations by tens of thousands disrupted by criminals intent on causing harm. The cases involving those arrests were sent to the proper authorities for charging decisions, either local, state, or federal. In any case, SPD says they trust authorities. They will act commensurate with their professional discretion and responsibilities.
Historically, we've believed that the criminal legal system, that by policing and incarcerating folks who have been found guilty of crime is the way to go.
John Good's Choose 180 program already works with prosecutors and defendants in a diversion program that channels justice in a different way. And in past years, he says 90% of those who complete the program do not reoffend.
We're not holding you accountable to what you did, but we are going to hold you accountable to who you can be. And we're going to give you the support that you need to become that very thing.
But Holmes' record has faced criticism before, some saying he's being soft on crime. About a year ago, a privately commissioned report highlighted the repeat offenders cycling through the system, leaving business owners and downtown residents frustrated. Several programs are now in the works to remedy some of those problems, but if the Choose 180 program doesn't work dealing with protesters, that criticism may intensify. But staring at thousands marching in the streets for reform and accountability, Holmes believes he has a responsibility to be the change the city is calling for.
It's not lost on me that you have a protest about police brutality and an arrest made by police. You, the prosecutor, have a special obligation to make sure you are fully exercising your discretion.
So the Seattle City Attorney says his office has around 30 cases. More could trickle in, but they don't expect a whole lot in the next few days. And they're still investigating whether or not charges could be filed. Meanwhile, Pete Holmes says just before these demonstrations erupted, he asked the City Council to consider expanding the Choose 180 program. Steve Kiggins, Q13 News.
All right, Steve, thank you. Coming up tonight, no mask will most likely mean no flying this summer as more airlines band together to keep COVID out of the air.